Hello BGC members, welcome to your third video in the National Educational Cycle for Isaac in Finland. My name as always is Camilla, and I'm the MCVP BGC. In this video we will be covering some frequently asked questions from our EPs. So, as I said, in this video we will be covering 5 frequently asked questions about Global Volunteer. This is useful information for you to know as well, because you are the one who's going to be communicating with EPs and potential customers. So it's important for you to be able to answer these basic questions. And then I will also give you some tips about what to do when you don't know the answer to these questions. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first question that often comes up is, what are the requirements to participate in a Global Volunteer project? The main requirements are that you are between 18 and 30, and you have the availability and financial availability to participate in a 6 to 8 week project. So you need to have the available finances to pay for the project fee and flights, etc., and the availability time-wise to participate in the project. Some projects might have other kinds of requirements. For example, you might be required to know the basics of a certain language, but generally these are written on isaac.org under each specific project, so make sure that your EPs also take this into consideration before applying. The second question that I get all the time is accommodation provided, and if yes, what kind? So generally, accommodation is provided for all the Global Volunteer projects. The most common type of accommodation that we have is a host family. So often you'll have a family who is a volunteer hosting an EP from another country. However, in some cases when LCs are not able to find host families, the volunteers might be sharing an apartment or a dormitory or living in some other kind of arrangement like a hostel. Isaac has 4 criteria for what constitutes a good accommodation, and these are very basic. So each volunteer should have a single bed for themselves to sleep in. They should have access to clean water and a bathroom. They should also have access to electricity. So make sure that you communicate this fact that the standards for accommodation might not be the same for your EP as they are in Finland. For example, living standards in Finland are very high. The accommodation most likely will not be as up to high standards as Finland. Keep in mind, some projects might have an extra fee associated with accommodation. This is usually in special cases where accommodation is very hard to find, either because the location of the project is very remote. For example, some Naturatica projects in Costa Rica are located in very remote locations, so it's hard to find accommodation. So make sure that your EPs check on isaac.org if there is an extra fee associated, but in general, accommodation is usually provided free of charge for volunteers. The third question is the big one. So how much is the project fee and what does it cover? So the project fee for Global Volunteer in 2020 is 400 euros. The fee is the same for all Global Volunteer projects, so it doesn't depend on the host country. And it is paid only once the EP makes the final decision to participate in the project and signs the exchange contract. We will have another video explaining more in detail what is taken into consideration when deciding the prices for products. But generally, Isaac is a not-for-profit organization, so we don't seek to make profit from our exchanges in any way. However, we still need to be able to cover some certain costs and provide the proper assistance to all our EPs so that they have a good experience. These costs can include, for example, bank fees, legal fees, insurance, operational costs, conferences, etc., etc. So make sure that you're very clear to your EPs about what the project fee covers and what it does not. So the project covers support in finding and applying for projects, the outgoing preparation seminar that all EPs need to participate in, visa assistance and departure support, assistance in document preparation as well, for example, visa insurance, operational costs until the travel to the country, as well as virtual support throughout the project. So the project fee does not cover flights or visa or insurance. These are all something that the EP needs to cover themselves. Then something we also get asked a lot is, will the volunteers work alone in the projects? So most of the projects that we have are done with a group of volunteers from all different countries and nationalities. And this group can be really different in size. It can be 2 EPs, it can be 20 EPs. But mainly our volunteers do work in groups, or at least pairs. Our Global Volunteer projects are always diverse, because we really try to have volunteers from all across the globe with different cultures and backgrounds and lifestyles. This allows our volunteers not just to discover the culture of their home country, but also the cultures of countries around the world. So this is a really big selling point for volunteers, is they can make this international network, not just in the host country, but all around the world. Finally, one of the questions we also get is, can I participate in a project in countries that are not currently country partners? So Isaac and Finland's country partners are currently Brazil, Costa Rica, Romania, and Taiwan. They generally change once a year, but for this year they are these 4 countries. But on the other hand, Isaac is still present in 120 plus countries. This means that there are so many places that they can go. Isaac and Finland really recommends that the EPs participate in a project in one of our partner countries, because these countries we have closer contact with, and we are able to guarantee that they will have a good experience. So if an EP really wants to go to another country, it is okay, but they need to keep in mind that we cannot guarantee that the experience will match their expectations. We also cannot guarantee that they will be matched or approved to this project, because this country might have another IR partner and prioritized applicants from that country. So they might not even accept our EPs. This is why we also have partner countries, to make sure that our EPs are accepted wherever they apply. So keep this in mind. Make sure you set good expectations. If your EP really wants to go to another country, they're not forbidden, but we strongly suggest that they participate in one of our country partners. What do you do if an EP poses a question that you don't know the answer to? So this can be a really tricky situation. First of all, just tell them the truth. Tell the EP that you don't know the answer, but you will ask someone, for example your LCVP or MCVP, and get back to them. Make sure you write the question down so you don't forget. Set yourself a deadline to get back to the EP. For example, if you tell them you will get back to them by next week, make sure you actually get back to them by next week. And follow up. Don't just forget that they asked this question. Make sure you actually find the answer and give them it as soon as possible. So with this, I would like to thank you for watching this video. I hope this gives you a better overview of the kinds of questions our EPs are asking. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you soon.